Welcome to Stage 40 Gram, or at least the first part of it, more about indirect statement. So, to review, how in the world is an indirect statement formed in Latin? Well, you need a verb of the head, followed by an accusative noun, followed by an infinitive. We started talking about this way back in Stage 35 at the beginning of the Purple Book, and we've talked consistently about it through stages 37 and 38 when you learned all the tenses of the infinitive. Now, as a reminder about the tenses of the infinitive and what time they are expressing in relation to the main verb or the verb of the head, it's important to jot this down. So present infinitives express action happening at the same time as the verb of the head. Perfect infinitives express time before. That's pretty basic, right? Perfect tense, of course, is verbida. And then future tense, something that hasn't happened yet, expresses time after that of the main verb. But in stage 40, we are going to start to see sentences in Latin where the verb of the head is in the past tense. And how does that affect the translation of our indirect statement? All the way up to this point, all of the indirect statements you've seen, the verb of the head has been in the present tense. So now let's figure out what happens when it is in the past tense, meaning perfect, imperfect, or pluperfect. So first, we're going to look at some examples. In each pair, you've got a direct statement and then indirect statement. And you'll notice in the indirect statement, the verb of the head is in a past tense. Okay, so here's our first one. Custos revenet. Well, that means the guard is returning. Then we have that same information, except that it's puer dixit custodem revenire, present tense infinitive, but our verb of the head is in the perfect tense. Watch what happens. Boom. The boy said that the guard was returning. So even though revenire is a present infinitive, we translate it as if it were in the past tense in relation to this verb of the head, which is also in the past tense. Now the boy said that the guard was returning. Here we go. Look at the next pair. And don't worry, there's going to be a chart on the next slide to kind of consolidate all this information. Vilae deletai sunt. Well, here we go. Deletai sunt. That is a perfect passive main verb, so it means that the houses have been destroyed. The houses have been destroyed. We take that essentially the same information, vilas deletas esse, we throw a verb of the head in front. Verb of the head, accusative, infinitive. Now we have a perfect passive infinitive. Audivi, I heard that, and here's how it changes. I heard that the houses had been destroyed. And now let's look at a one that uses future tense verbs here. Puella recitabit, the girl will recite. Now you can see in our second example, sperabant, we have a verb of the head in a past tense. Here it's in the imperfect tense. But now we have the future tense infinitive, sperabant puellam recitaturam esse. And here's how it translates. They hoped that the girl would recite. So not translated as will recite, but would. Okay, so here's a chart. Boom, ba-da-doom, to help simplify everything. So if the verb of the head is in the past tense in Latin, then you translate the infinitive as follows. If it's a present tense active infinitive, it's was or were verbing. I didn't put were in there, but I think that's implied here. And then if it's a present passive infinitive, it's translated as was being verbed, or you can simply say was verbed, hence the being there in the brackets. It's implied. Now, if the verb of the head is in the past tense and the infinitive is in the perfect tense active voice, you translate it had verbed. And if it's a perfect passive infinitive, it would be had been verbed. And then future active would be would verb. So it's kind of hard to explain through slides. And I think when Miss Leonard and I are back with you guys face to face, it'll be easier to show you. But it's almost like you're taking the tense of the infinitive and you have to take it back one notch in time when the verb of the head is already in the past tense. I hope that makes sense. So sort of like present becomes a past tense, perfect becomes pluperfect, and then future, it's still in the future, but it's actually something that's already happened, but the verb of the head was further in the past. Now let's take a look at, using this chart, let's take a look at essentially the same sentence done several different ways, and I hope this will kind of solidify everything. So we're going to take a basic sentence about Caesar getting attacked by some senators, or the senators attacking Caesar. We're going to look at each pair is essentially the same sentence, and each pair uses the tense and voice of the infinitive indicated above. So for the first two, we're looking at present active. The only difference between the two sentences, if you'll notice, in each pair will be the verb of the head changes from the present tense in the first sentence to the perfect tense, which is one of our past tenses, in the second. So look at this one. Audio senatores caesarem oppugnare. Boom. Oppugnare, present active infinitive. I hear that the senators are attacking Caesar. Now we change it to audivi senatores caesarem oppugnare. I heard that the senators were attacking Caesar. See, all of these actions have already occurred, and present active infinitives always happen at the same time as the verb of the head. That's the time relationship. And so both of those things have already happened. I heard that the senators are or were attacking Caesar. Now, present passive infinitive, here we go. Audio caesarem a senatoribus oppugnari. I hear that Caesar is being attacked by senators. Present passive infinitive there. Now we just change the verb of the head to the perfect tense. I heard that Caesar was being attacked by senators. So again, we sort of take it back one notch in time. The hearing and the attacking are happening simultaneously. Okay, now moving on. Let's take a look at perfect infinitives, perfect active, and perfect passive. So perfect active, if you'll recall, we have the esse here at the end of the perfect stem. Audio senatores caesarem oppugna, we say, I hear that the senators attacked Caesar. Versus audivi, I heard that the senators had attacked Caesar. Now look at the first one. I hear that the senators attacked Caesar. Well, it's a perfect infinitive, and those happen before the action of the main verb here in time. And so since our second example, audivi, the verb of the head, is already in the perfect tense, that's why we have to change the perfect active translation to make it pluperfect, because it happened before that of the main verb. I heard that the senators had attacked Caesar. Now let's look at passive. So here we have oppugnatum esse. That's a perfect passive infinitive. I hear that Caesar has been attacked by senators versus I heard that Caesar had been attacked by senators. All right, and finally, last but not least, we have future active. Now, how do we recognize a future active infinitive? It looks very similar to perfect passive in the sense that it has essentially the perfect passive participle followed by esse. But of course, it's future, so it's got the letters UR added in, oppugnaturus esse. So future active, I hear that the senators will attack Caesar, right? Future infinitives always happen as a time after that of the main verb. And so if the main verb of the head here is in the perfect tense or past tense in general, I heard that the senators would attack Caesar. So there you go. Hope that makes more sense. We're going to keep practicing quite a bit. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.